The first sound you'd hear is a rooster somewhere behind a mud wall. It's the year most of the world doesn't know exists yet. No one alive in this moment calls it the year zero. No calendar in use anywhere on Earth marks this date the way we do now. The number itself is a fiction, invented centuries later by a monk trying to count backward from an event that hasn't happened yet. But the world turning beneath that invented number is absolutely real. And the people walking it have no idea they're standing on a hinge. A woman kneels beside a stone basin in the Galilee, filling a clay jar before sunrise. Her hands are cracked from lye and cold water. She can hear the low bleating of goats on the terraced hillside behind her. In a few hours, the Roman road below her village will begin to fill with foot traffic. Merchants, soldiers, tax collectors, moving between Sepphoris and the lake towns. She doesn't look up. She already knows the sound of hobnailed sandals on packed earth. The Roman Empire at this moment stretches from the coasts of Spain to the deserts of Syria. Augustus Caesar has held power for nearly 3 decades. He is 62 years old, and Rome is in the middle of something it has never experienced before. Sustained peace across most of its territory. The legions still patrol the Rhine and Danube frontiers, but within the empire's interior, something strange has taken hold. Trade routes are functioning, grain shipments arrive on schedule, roads connect over 50,000 miles of territory. The Mediterranean, for the first time in recorded history, is controlled by a single power. Roman sailors call it Mare Nostrum, our sea. But peace in Rome doesn't mean peace everywhere. Augustus governs through client kings, puppet rulers left in place to manage regions Rome finds too complicated or too poor to govern directly. In Judea, one of those client kings has just died. Herod the Great, builder of fortresses, temples, and artificial harbors, is gone. His death has left a vacuum that his 3 sons are now fighting to fill. Within months, Roman soldiers will march into Jerusalem to settle the dispute. They will crucify 2,000 people along the roads of Galilee as a warning. The villagers that line those roads will smell the bodies for weeks. This is the world at year zero. Not a beginning, not an end. A world already ancient, already exhausted, already repeating patterns it doesn't recognize. In Rome itself, over 1 million people live inside the city walls. Most of them will never leave the neighborhood they were born in. The apartment blocks, called insulae, rise 6 and 7 stories above streets barely wide enough for a single cart. The ground floors house bakeries, taverns, fullers who process urine into cleaning agent for wool. The upper floors hold families packed into rooms with no running water and no heat beyond charcoal braziers. Fires break out constantly. There is no fire brigade yet. Augustus will create one within the decade, but only after entire blocks burn to their foundations. A man on the 4th floor of an insula near the Subura wakes to the sound of hammering from the coppersmith below. He shares his room with 5 others. His breakfast, if he eats at all, is a handful of grain porridge bought from a street vendor. He works carrying amphorae from the Tiber docks to warehouses near the Forum. He earns enough to eat. Rent takes the rest. He owns nothing that couldn't fit in his hands. The wealth of Rome flows upward with extraordinary efficiency. The senatorial class, roughly 600 families, controls most of the productive land in Italy. A single senator might own estates in Sicily, North Africa, and southern Gaul simultaneously. The grain that feeds the city's poor is imported from Egypt, shipped in convoys of 200 vessels across open water. If those ships don't arrive, the city starves. Augustus knows this. He has made Egypt his personal province. No senator is allowed to visit without permission. The entire food supply of the Western world's largest city depends on the wind patterns of the Eastern Mediterranean. And this system works until it doesn't. One delayed harvest, one storm season, one ambitious governor, and 1 million people begin to feel the floor shift beneath them. Across the empire's eastern edge, the world operates by different rules entirely. The Parthian Empire controls modern-day Iran and Iraq. Its capital, at Ctesiphon, sits on the Tigris River, a city of arched brick halls and irrigated gardens that most Romans have never seen. The two empires have been at war, off and on, for decades. Augustus has chosen diplomacy over invasion after earlier Roman defeats. The Parthians returned captured Roman legionary standards in a carefully staged ceremony. Augustus built a temple to house them. Both sides called it victory. Neither side believed the other. Between these empires, in the deserts and river valleys of the Middle East, something else is happening. Caravans move along the incense route from southern Arabia northward through Petra and into the Mediterranean trading ports. Frankincense and myrrh, tree resins harvested from remote groves in modern Yemen and Oman, are worth more by weight than most metals. A single camel load of frankincense can purchase a year's labor. Temples across Rome, Greece, Egypt, and Persia burn it daily. The smoke is prayer made visible. The economics behind that smoke employed tens of thousands of people across a supply chain stretching 3,000 miles. At the other end of the world, the Han dynasty governs China with a bureaucratic sophistication that Rome cannot match. Emperor Ai of Han sits on a throne that controls roughly 60 million people. The empire runs on paper records, standardized weights, a civil service selected by examination, and a road network rivaling Rome's own. Silk produced in Chinese workshops will eventually reach Roman markets, passing through Parthian middlemen who triple the price at every exchange. A Roman senator's wife, wearing Chinese silk, has no idea where it came from. She knows only that it costs more than gold thread and feels like water against skin. The connection between these civilizations is real but almost invisible. No single merchant travels the entire route. Goods pass through dozens of hands, dozens of languages, dozens of currencies. A glass bead made in Alexandria might end up in a tomb in Luoyang. A spice ground in Kerala might flavor a Roman senator's wine. The world is networked in ways its inhabitants cannot perceive. No one alive has a map showing all of it. No one will for another 1,500 years. In sub-Saharan Africa, the Kingdom of Axum is beginning its rise in modern Ethiopia. Its port city of Adulis trades ivory, gold, and animal hides with merchants from Egypt, Arabia, and India. In Central America, the Maya are constructing temple complexes in the lowland jungles of Guatemala. The city of El Mirador holds pyramid structures taller than anything Rome has built. No one in the Mediterranean world knows these places exist. No one in these places knows about Rome. The world's population at this moment sits around 250 million people. More than half of them live under the control of just two empires, Rome and Han China. Most of the rest live in small agricultural communities, growing grain, millet, rice, or root crops within a few miles of where their grandparents farmed. Travel beyond walking distance is rare. News moves at the speed of a horse. A war can begin and end before a neighboring province learns it started. In Judea, the region that will eventually give this year its number, daily life has a particular texture. The temple in Jerusalem dominates the city physically and economically. It employs thousands: priests, Levites, butchers, cleaners, musicians, administrators. The sacrificial system requires a constant supply of unblemished animals. Merchants sell doves and lambs in the temple courts. Money changers convert foreign currency into the Tyrian shekel, the only coin accepted for temple dues. The exchange rate favors the changers. It always does. A boy carries two doves in a wicker cage through the southern entrance of the Temple Mount. His sandals slap against the limestone steps, worn smooth by 100,000 feet before his. The sound inside the outer court is overwhelming. Cattle lowing, vendors shouting prices, the metallic ring of coins on stone counting tables. Somewhere beyond the inner wall, a ram is being slaughtered. The smoke from the altar rises in a column visible from outside the city. The air tastes of iron and burning fat. Outside Jerusalem, in the rural villages of Galilee, life is quieter and harder. Families live in single-room stone houses with dirt floors. They sleep on raised platforms at one end, while livestock occupy the other. The main crops are wheat, barley, olives, and grapes. Taxes are layered. Roman tribute, Herodian levies, temple tithes. A farmer might owe 40% of his harvest before he feeds his own children. Debt is endemic. Land changes hands not through sale, but through foreclosure. A family that loses its land doesn't relocate. It stays and works the same fields as tenants, paying rent on soil their fathers owned. The legal system in these villages depends on local elders who arbitrate disputes in the town gate. There are no lawyers. Testimony from women is not accepted in most courts. A man accused of blasphemy can be stoned on the authority of the community. A thief who cannot repay what he stole can be sold into bonded labor. Justice is communal, immediate, and rarely appealed. Disease moves through these communities with a regularity that no one questions. Dysentery from contaminated water kills more children than any war. Tuberculosis is endemic. Leprosy, a category that includes numerous skin conditions, results in permanent social exile. The afflicted live outside village walls. They announce themselves with calls or bells so others can maintain distance. There is no treatment, there is only separation. What holds these communities together is not law or force. It is the invisible architecture of reciprocal obligation. A neighbor who refuses to lend grain during a bad harvest will find no one willing to help when his own roof collapses. A family that fails to attend a funeral will be remembered at every future gathering. Social memory is long, and villages are small. Everyone is watching. This mutual surveillance functions as both safety net and prison. It keeps people alive. It also keeps them in place. The temple system that governs Jewish religious life is itself a kind of invisible infrastructure. The rotation of priestly courses, 24 divisions serving in turn, ensures continuous operation. The water supply for ritual purification flows through a system of channels and cisterns carved into bedrock beneath the Temple Mount. Thousands of gallons move daily through tunnels most worshippers never see. If those tunnels fail, the sacrifices stop. If the sacrifices stop, the covenant with God is considered broken. The engineers who maintain those tunnels carry a weight they share with no one. In 14 years, Augustus will be dead. Within 70 years, the temple itself will be a ruin. The Romans will burn it during the siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE, and the stones will be pulled apart for the gold that melted between them. The priestly families who manage those hidden waterways will scatter. The record of their rotations will survive only in fragments, copied by scribes who no longer understand what the schedules once meant. But in this year, the water still flows. The smoke still rises. A woman in the Galilee still carries her jar back from the basin in the dark. The rooster crows again from behind the same mud wall. The road below her village fills with the sound of hobnailed sandals, and she counts the rhythm without turning her head. She's heard it before. She'll hear it tomorrow. The question that divides historians is whether this moment, this exact, unremarkable day in an arbitrarily numbered year, was the calm before a transformation, or whether the transformation was already underway and no one had language for it yet. Whether empires fall because of a single fracture, or because every beam was already bending under weight no one measured. What you notice first about this world says less about the year zero than about what you believe holds your own world together. These reconstructions continue, one era at a time.